Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. The Super Bowl is set. It's the Chiefs and the Eagles again. Second time in 3 years. Well, it's not that big a surprise because it's always the Chiefs. This was their fifth Super Bowl and Andy Reid's sixth, tied with Tom Landry for second most ever because Belichick coached 9 teams to the Super Bowl in his run with the Patriots. Very impressive for Andy. And if he wins, he gets a fourth championship. So that puts him up in rarefied air, moves him past the Bill Walshes of the world, which is awfully good company. So it's historic. Of course, the Chiefs chasing the three-peat. That game was close. The Bills did a lot of things right. Sucks for Dalton Kincaid. He couldn't hold on to that pass. Would they have gone down and scored and won the game? Who knows? But it sucks that he couldn't hold on to that pass on 4th and 5. He was open deep down the field. If the blitz doesn't get there, that's a huge play. That could have been a 40-plus yard play. Instead, he's putting on the brakes and coming back to the ball and having to hit his arm. There were so many crazy things that happened in that game. I think because there's so many calls, the quarterback sneak, it looked like he got it. He got the first down on the QB sneak with, 12 minutes to go in the game. That could have been a huge play. So there's so much on the calls, is it a catch, is it an interception, is it an incompletion? That was another big call. Lost in all of this, man, the 2-point conversions killed the Bills. Now, the game doesn't, the second half doesn't necessarily unfold the same way, but you go for 2 at 21-16. I know you had the penalty, and that made it shorter, but when you don't get it, now you're chasing it the next time, and you don't get it. And then they get the 2. That's an awfully big swing right there. If you just kick the 1, you're up 24-21, and they're not going for 2. You can play that out if everything goes the same. The Chiefs are kicking a field goal to tie the game, not to win the game. They left out 3 points. Well, you take your chances, and it just didn't work out. And we get the Chiefs again, so we get history. 3 straight Super Bowls, can they do it? We're 2 weeks away. They opened as favorites, slight favorites. Man, I was wrong about the Commanders. I didn't know if they'd win or not, but I definitely thought they were going to cover. I was talking about this. If I bet, which I don't, thank goodness, because I'd have lost, I thought take the Commanders and the points. That's going to be a close game. They played twice. Each team won it once at home. But, man, Washington, 4 turnovers, and every single one led to an Eagle touchdown. You try to explain 55-23, and that's as good a way as any. I mean, Washington doesn't have a good run defense and Saquon Barkley, but 36-33, the Commanders outscored them and won a game at home just last month. But not on this day, not with 4 turnovers. That was just absolutely a killer for the Commanders. All right, there was some other stuff going on this weekend in addition to the football. Utah State, man, Jerrod Calhoun has told us a couple things, and he's told us it definitively. And he knows his team. He gets it because he's told us in advance. He's called his shot, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But he's gotten up there and told the truth. And if you're not sure, that's okay. And then you watch and you realize he was right. In December, it's 2 times in my mind anyway. There might be more for somebody else. But in December, he said UC San Diego is going to be the best team we played. And Utah State was undefeated, and they got their first loss, and it was to UC San Diego. And then everybody's wondering about, the schedule coming up. It's going to be so hard. He didn't say St. Mary's was the best team they're going to face. And they went to beat St. Mary's at St. Mary's. And St. Mary's is 18-3, undefeated with a 2-game lead over Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's is flying, and Utah State got him. And he didn't say anything there, but he did before UC San Diego. Then, flash forward to their second loss. They lose in Vegas. They lead 5 out of 7 on the road. And he had lamented the schedule. They'd had to start 4 of the first 6 on the road, and the St. Mary's game made it 5 of 7. Their last non-conference game was at St. Mary's. And so he said, hey, the travel's killing our legs. Now, it's easy to say that, but okay, go ahead and say it. Now, if it's true, when you come back out, you better look good. You better be flying. They get a Saturday off, so they get a full week. They get their legs back. They beat Nevada by 21 at home, and then they go to Air Force this weekend and they win by 29. Now, Air Force isn't good, and they should have gone there and won. But 29? A 29-point road win? Holy cow. So Utah State's come out of that bye flying, as Jerrod Calhoun basically intimated they would, and they're 18-2. and they're 8-1 in conference. They're half game behind New Mexico, who's 9-1. Waiting for that showdown. Can't wait for that thing to get here. That can't get here soon enough. I'm ready to see that game. I mean, they're both set up. You'd think they could both go to the tournament. It's not that high stakes, but it'll still be fun to watch it. I'm still old school enough that a conference championship matters. All right, let's get to Jerrod Calhoun talking to the media after just a 29-point blowout, devastation, laugher. Utah State was running. They forced 16 turnovers. They did whatever they wanted. They were in complete control of the game. Here is Jerrod Calhoun after the game.
There's a lot of interesting moments. People are going to look at this and see, a 25-plus victory. But there was a little bit of drama there at the end of the second half, or end of the first half, and into the second half, where you guys were able to find a way to get through a little bit of adversity and push the lead back out.
Yeah, Scotty. We just we had a really, really rough practice yesterday. It was probably our worst practice of the season. So I didn't think we were locked in at all. So I had to stop them 2 or 3 times and make our guys run at practice. That was a first the day before game. So I think I got their attention. But the fact of the matter is our bench has been playing really, really well the last couple games. So we're getting good contributions from guys off our bench. And that happens throughout the course of a year. Guys get tired. They get lackluster. But we have played on both sides of the ball. To come on the road, I don't care who you play, to hold them under 60, that's elite defense. And but I think we got too comfortable when we had that 17-point lead. We got to stop doing that, and we got to understand that every possession matters, and we got to have constant improvement here over the next 5-6 weeks.
I always like taking a look at things that happen that don't necessarily show up in a box score, but Air Force has the ball near the end of the first half. You're only up by 7. They have a chance to cut it to 5 or 4. Drake Allen gets a deflection and then draws the foul. It leads to an Acano 3, and all of a sudden the lead's back to 10, just like that. And so, Drake Allen, I thought tonight, coming off the bench, was really good for you.
Yeah, I think the last couple games, he's really provided a big spark. He's such a great athlete. He gets his hands on a lot of balls. He's good in the press. Once again, our guys did a good job sharing the ball. 22 assists, 27 the game before. So, but the reason the offense is good is we're getting stops, we're getting out, we're getting easy baskets, and, we got to continue to do that. But, yeah, we're going to get into our bench more and more as this season goes. It's a long season, and, I thought all of them. I thought Dexter Acano, I thought Fish, I thought Jordy Barnes gave us great minutes.
Yeah.
Dayton was pretty solid, was just okay, So if guys aren't playing well, the nice thing about this team is, Scotty, we got a lot of guys.
Well, and that certainly is going to be the case because you got a difficult stretch coming up next week.
I mean, this is the biggest week of the season. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not run from it, right? You got 2 really good teams, team that beat you the first time through, coming in on Wednesday. We've got to get out of here as quick as we can, get to Denver, get on the flight, rest tomorrow. These guys need to get off their feet, and we got to have 2 days of great preparation for UNLV, and then about a day and a half to get ready for New Mexico. And they just had a great battle today. I watched most of the first half while we waited on this game. So the spectrum should be rocking. I know the herd will be there. We need to sell these 2 games out.
Go to UtahStateAggies.com, get those tickets. Bally's already given me the stink eye, so we better wrap up.
Let's roll. Thanks, right. Scotty.
There is Jerrod Calhoun after the Aggies pick up the win and improve to 18-2 on the season. Not everybody won this weekend. We'll get to that coming up. We'll talk Big 12 basketball, the Utes and the Cougars. Also, next, we will talk Jazz and the Utah Hockey Club. Not a great weekend. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Well, the Utah Jazz went out on the road and finished up that road trip by getting beat. They got beat in Memphis like they already packed the bags, put them on the plane, and just couldn't wait to get out of there. There was nothing remotely interesting or competitive about that game Saturday. They got blown out. That's the way it goes. The thing that was interesting is that the other bad teams are winning. So New Orleans, Charlotte, Toronto, all starting to pull away. They've picked up wins. They're now all on 12 or 13 wins, while the Jazz are stuck on 10. Yes, the Jazz could go out and win the next game and not impact their draft lottery odds. They got the second worst record in the league. I think best case scenario, that's where they're going to finish up. Washington's on 6 wins. Washington's serious about this, people. They're going to have the worst record. But the Jazz, with 10 wins, are well positioned to have the second worst record. It wasn't that long ago they had the 5th worst. So now second, which, you have the same odds of getting a number 1 as the number 1 team. You have the same odds of getting a number 2, same getting a 3. The number 1 team can only drop to 5. The number 2 team can drop to 6. The number 3 team can drop to 7, and so on. So the Jazz are helping themselves there a little bit. All right, for more on what happened, let's get to the best of the postgame show.
It's your Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz fall on Saturday night to the Grizzlies, 125-103. The Jazz were led by Colin Sexton, who had 20 points. Svi Mihailuk added 16, but not enough as the Grizzlies got 28 from Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey added 19 for the Grizzlies in the win. Let's get to the postgame sound and hear from Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
I think we didn't do a great job with our hands, and our shifts on some of the isolations weren't as good as we would have wanted. And that led to them getting 34 free throws. That's the part for us defensively tonight that I think we can clean up and do better. I also recognize that, my second observation is that when you don't make shots and a team like that is constantly playing after a miss, it's hard to get your defense set. It's hard to shrink those gaps appropriately because they're coming at you with a lot of force. 12 for 47 from 3. I actually think we generated a bunch of good looks tonight, and for whatever the reasons are, they didn't go in. I look at Lowry, Colin, and Keontae combining for 2 for 24. That's not something that I would expect to be a true number that's representative of their shooting. And so those things can compound. But overall, I thought the team's competitiveness and fight on the whole was good from start to finish. There's plenty of individual plays to point out where I think we could have done a better job, but it was a tough night for us shooting the ball from the perimeter. Memphis does a good job of trying to protect the paint, but, they scored 56 in the paint and we scored 50. And ultimately, the three-point line is a big part of today's game. It's a big part of how we play. I thought we generated some good looks and the ball didn't go in.
So to bounce off that, the three-point shots, you said there were a lot of good looks. Are you able to explain what you did like about the shots that you were seeing, and then if things like that aren't falling, what you are looking for the team after that as well?
Yeah, I thought our dribble drive reads improved as the game went on. Early on, we had a couple of drives, a couple of plays at the basket where we jumped into Edey, and he was able to hit a couple blocks early, couple poor reads by us early in the game, but the team adjusted well, and then our dribble drive turned into spraying the ball to the weak side, and we generated a bunch of catch and shoots, and the ball didn't go in. Your question about what you pivot to after that is hard because they're gonna continue to help to protect the rim. I believe in our team. I believe in our shooters. When a guy like Lowry is 0 for 5, you tell him to shoot the 6th, 7th, and 8th one. Like, that's just the way we're going to play, and that's how I believe in, our team operating. Same thing with Colin, same thing with Keontae. So it's tough because there isn't necessarily a pivot because you have to read what the game gives you. And I thought the team did a decent job of generating those catch and shoots from 3. It's a tough night shooting the ball.
What did y'all do to defensively on Jaren Jackson in the second half? He had a pretty good first half, and then y'all were able to shut him down, at least some in the second half.
Yeah, I think our first half isolation defense was pretty poor. Memphis did a good job with their spacing in the first half, and I think that the closest player to Jaren wasn't doing a very good job of shifting and providing help. I also think that our body position on the ball was a little bit too open. He got a little bit too many straight line drives middle with that left hand. So I think in the second half, we talked about it at halftime, watched a few clips. I think the guys on the ball did a little bit better job of squaring the ball up, and I think those secondary defenders did a better job of being in shift and trusting the third defender behind them to stunt to the shooter. Jaron's a tough cover, and I think that's one of the things you see when you play Memphis is that they have a bunch of different things they can go to and a couple of different styles they can play offensively. If I could get something back, I wish we had guarded those isolations a little bit better in the first half. I think they generated 15 points on his isos in the first half alone. So, body position is really key with a player like Jerrod because of his size and his strength. Like if your angles aren't good, he's going to take advantage of it.
Also tonight, the rookie Kyle, he has 11 points, but just watching him just keep fighting later in the game as things go on, it can be an up and down season for any young player. But what flashes did you see from him tonight?
Yeah, I think Kyle is doing a really good job of focusing on the things that he can control. Because he's not a primary ball handler, there can be moments where the ball doesn't find you when maybe you think that it should. This is something that we've talked about with Walker for the last couple of years. It's hard when you don't dribble the ball up in the NBA. You are counting on your teammates to make the reads to get you the ball. I think that Kyle lately has done a much better job of just recognizing that those are things he can't control. He's continuing to execute his role in our offense, and I think that his effort level defensively, especially on the glass, has really picked up. So, my expectation for Kyle and all of our young players is to compete. That's the thing I care about the most. Technical mistakes will happen. Missed shots will happen. Turnovers will happen. But if we can control the competitive spirit of all the individuals on the team, that's when we'll really start to see the development.
There is Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now move on and hear from Elijah Harkless.
What did you think about your performance tonight just on the court?
I think it was cool. Provided some fight. My teammates staying on me each and every game, instilling confidence. The more I spend time with them, learning each and everybody, and they learning me. So just kind of a result of that was, a little better of a performance, a little more competitive. Hopefully I could keep providing that for everybody, and we feed off of that.
Yeah, and how are you feeling that confidence being instilled and just going out there and getting more comfortable? You can see in different plays, defensively, different things. Kind of talking your talk. How are you feeling that out there?
I'm feeling great. It's just a base staple for me always has been defense. I work super hard, so offense is going to come, but the staple is defense. Like how we talked the other day about just we can control our energy and just being able to talk with everybody and just making it contagious. That's our biggest thing right now, and taking our next step forward to hopefully get the ball to fall our way and some wins.
Tonight, it's a pretty physical game. This is a tough place to play always with this crowd, but what did you see from this type of game, and what did you maybe enjoy from it too?
I liked it. They feisty. I like the feistiness that they had. They stick together. They got that team camaraderie. Everybody in here is with them. It was definitely a hostile environment that I enjoyed. I think that one day we're going to be there to be able to win in this environment and thrive in that environment. So I'm just excited to keep building brick by brick. We get to go back home and start off that way.
That's Elijah Harkless, career high 11 points in 22 minutes. But the Jazz come up short against the Grizzlies. They lose 125-103. Next up, the Jazz take on the Milwaukee Bucks at Delta Center tonight. Game will tip off at 7. Pregame begins at 6.
There's the best of the postgame show as the Jazz get beat in Memphis. Now, the Utah Hockey Club lost in Ottawa yesterday. They lost in Winnipeg Friday. The week started out well with a couple of wins, but it ends with a couple of losses. They go 2-2. They pick up 4 points. They're still a half dozen points out of the last playoff spot in the Western Conference. Opportunity there to have a great trip. I mean, they're all good teams, and so they beat Minnesota, I think second place in the division. They lose to Ottawa and Winnipeg. So the Ottawa game was there for the taking. It was 1-1 going to the third, but the Senators scored twice in the third, and they win the game. For more on that, let's go to Adrian Denny with a recap.
DJ and PK, the Utah Hockey Club will open a 4-game homestand on Wednesday night against Pittsburgh as they return from a 3-game road trip that saw them win the first game. Thursday night, Minnesota 4-0. They lost in Winnipeg Friday, a game that was 2-2 in the third, finished 5-2. And Sunday afternoon in Ottawa, a game that was 1-1 in the third period, finishes 3-1 in favor of Ottawa. 9th straight game that Utah has either been tied or ahead in the third period. And entering Sunday night, they had the second best record in the NHL when tied going to the third period at 5-1-2. But not a victory in this one. Utah, after a scoreless first period, would go on the power play in the second. But just 26 seconds into it, Ottawa would come back and score shorthanded. And then Utah answered 1 minute and 36 seconds later as Clayton Keller got credited with his team-leading 18th, throwing a puck towards center that went off of Ottawa's Ridley Gregg, who scored that shorthanded goal, and all of a sudden we were back tied. Clayton Keller scoring his 4th goal in the last 5 games, up to a team-leading 18. He's now scored in 7 straight games with 4 goals and 19 assists during that stretch, and with 5 goals and 12 assists for 17 points in January. The Utah captain is tied for 5th in the NHL in January scoring. Here's that equalizing goal in the first period on Sunday.
Keller with one more rush up the ice in the waning seconds of this man advantage. The captain across the line. It's kicked ahead by Olli Maatta. Keller trying to center for Cooley. It tips in and they score! A pinball goal for the Utah Hockey Club ties the game at 1 with 6:08 to go in the second. Keller had the pass that looked like it deflected off a Senator, past Miralainen and into the back of the net. It appears to be Keller's goal.
Playing 3 games in 4 nights, Utah had played some pretty good hockey through 40 minutes. They had 24 shots on net, 4th most through 2 periods this year. They had 49 shot attempts, 5th most through 2 periods this year. And after they got out-hit 13-4 in the first, they went out and out-hit Ottawa 14-5. But a couple mistakes in the third period, again, definitely looked like mistakes related to fatigue. Playing that third game in 4 nights against a really heavy Ottawa team after playing that back-to-back against Winnipeg on Friday, as the Senators scored a pair in the second to win 3-1. This was a game that could have easily been 0-0 going to overtime. With you can really look, 3 Utah mistakes end up in the back of the net, and Utah scored their goal off of an Ottawa skater. So 2 of 6 points as we wrap up the road trip. Let's hear from head coach Andre Turney after the game.
Coach, just your overall thoughts on tonight.
I think we played good until we gave up the second goal. I think we were stingy defensively. It's a team was really good defensively as well, but we create off our forecheck, off our intensity, and we had enough offense. Unfortunately, we made a mistake to score a second goal and then throw us off a little bit. I didn't like the way we respond to that.
Do you feel like that third goal was a result of you guys pushing up ice and trying to open things up?
Sure, but there's a way to do it, and I think I didn't like the way we did it. So, yeah, that third goal. But in general, after they scored a second goal, the way we tried to attack, we played in their hands a little bit. Yeah, we knew that. We pre-scouted. We knew what we had to do, but it's human nature. When you push, you try to do a little bit too much, and the way they play, the way they close the neutral zone, you can't. So hope we'll steer a lesson.
They're a stingy team defensively, but were you happy with the chances you guys were getting in the first 2 periods?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We generated enough chance. We had 2 breakaway. We could have pulled away, but we didn't. So you need to stay with it and be patient. We're on the road. It's 1-1 after 2. We need to find a way to get a point.
You mentioned that patience. You mentioned it this morning as well. Do you feel like you guys were patient enough there in the third period, or was that not a time to be patient?
No, that's what I didn't like. I think we play in front of them instead to put puck behind and go to work. And even the way we were trying to change point of attack in the offensive zone, we were predictable for them, and they cut too many plays. I think we didn't keep our composure in that way.
You guys had considerably more giveaways and fewer takeaways than them. What role did puck management have tonight in all of this?
No, I think it's all about in the third one when they took the lead. The rest, the way they play, they sit back and they close the neutral zone. So it's normal. They will have some takeaway, but I was happy about the offense we create after 2.
And after head coach Andre Turney, we heard from defenseman Olli Maatta, who picked up a big assist in the game.
Olli, it looked like you was pretty tight, or you guys were even the better team, maybe first 2 periods, and then they had that push in the third. Just kind of what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think we played a patient game. Obviously, they defended well. At the same time, when you have tight games like that, I think we gave them 2 easy ones, and you just can't win games when you do that.
You mentioned a patient game. We heard that from Bear this morning as well, playing against a team that doesn't give up a lot. How do you try and manufacture offense and balance manufacturing offense and being patient in the third when you're chasing and down a goal?
Well, I think they check well. Obviously, neutral zone's at forecheck there on top of guys, so I think we could have done a better job putting it behind them like we did the first and second period and playing their end. I think when you have to defend for a long time in your own zones, something's going to open up, and at least I don't think we stuck to it enough.
What were the energy levels like tonight? Third game in 4 nights for you guys.
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, they played back-to-back too, so it's not there's nothing special there. Again, it's tough when you don't play full 60 minutes. It's tough to win in this league.
Do you feel like that third goal that they scored was a result of you guys pushing and trying to create a little bit?
Yeah, probably. I think they got breakaway and then a 3-on-2. I think that's not obviously when you're trying to push. It's obviously give up chances, but I think we could have just trusted our game, and I think we played so well those first 2, and they didn't really have anything. So I think just trusting that, and if we do that, we're going to win that game, and we just gotta have the confidence and swagger. And like I said, it's just trusting our game.
And with Mikhail Sergachev out, the Utah defensemen have stepped up by committee as defenseman Olli Mata now has 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points in his last 4. He was Sergachev's defensive partner before the injury, and he's been able to really contribute for Utah, especially offensively, since Sergachev went down. And John Marino, who missed the first 42 games of the year, now has 3 assists in his last 5 games and assists in 2 straight, and he's been really logging some big minutes for Utah, along with guys like Ian Cole and Michael Kesselring, who's playing 3 more minutes a game than he was before the Mikhail Sergachev injury. Most of that time has come on the power play as he's taken Sergachev's spot on that top power play unit. So without Sergachev, still without Durzi and Bortuzzo long range, Utah missing leading scorer Dylan Gunther for now 9 straight games as he is out with an injury as well. You look at this homestand coming up: Pittsburgh Wednesday, Columbus Friday, St. Louis Sunday, and then a week from tomorrow will be Philadelphia. 4 teams not currently in the playoff picture right now as Utah going to look for some big wins. They'll enter the week 6 points in back of Calgary for that final playoff spot in the Western Conference. But again, a really good homestand could totally flip things there for Utah. DJ and PK, Wednesday night national television, so we'll be on the air at 6:30 with Hockey Night in Utah. The puck will drop at 7:30 right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, there is Adrian Denny. A reminder, DJ and PK proudly presented by our title sponsor, Black Desert Resort, Utah's premier golf resort. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk Big 12 hoops. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, The Zone. Time to talk a little Big 12 basketball. Utah and BYU splitting over the weekend. BYU at home blowing out Cincinnati 80-52. The Utes losing by 15 to Baylor. Got down 15 in the first half, rallied, got to 7 at the half, kind of sort of hung around, and Baylor pulled away and win 76-61. And now the 2 teams are going to switch opponents. Cincinnati is going to go to Utah. That's a winnable game for Utah Tuesday night because Cincinnati looked terrible. And conversely, BYU should get tested Tuesday night. They're playing a Baylor team, look pretty good. On the road, elevation, all that stuff. If you're good, you can overcome it. It's important. It has an impact. The better teams overcome it. Baylor did. The other teams don't. Cincinnati certainly didn't. Cincinnati was hanging in there. The game was tied with a minute left in the half. Demin hit a couple of free throws, I think with like 45 seconds left, something like that. And then he hit a 3 with 5 seconds left. Sitting there watching the game thinking, man, when that guy hits threes, look out. And sure enough, he comes out in the second half, and he hits another 3 to open the half. So the lead goes from 2 to 5 with 5 seconds left in the half. Then he comes out right away, hits another 3, it goes to 8. You're like, okay, that's a sign. BYU's going to win this game. And sure enough, they just blew the Bearcats out in the second half. Completely dominated them. For more for the Cougars, let's listen to Egor Demin and Richie Saunders. Demin had 15, Saunders 21 points. Here they are.
Richie, tell us about that second half, not just for you specifically, but for the entire team. put up 52 on Cincinnati like that?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing was our defensive boards. Like, they came out and just hit us with 10 in the first half, and holding them to 3 in the second half was big for us. When we can get stops on the other end, and it really just fuels our offense, and like that was the moral of the story.
Richie, is there something in Kevin's offense specifically that allows you to be so efficient from 3? Are you getting different looks from last year, or not really?
A little bit, yeah. I'm kind of I am playing a different position for the most part, where I'm more coming this way instead of coming towards the basket, which allows for me just to get some different looks that I'm historically more used to.
Is that something you talked to Kevin about in the offseason? Is that something you wanted?
Yeah.
He recruited you?
Yeah, it was.
Egor, that's your second straight really good game. Do you feel like you're kind of hit another plateau as far as your comfort level and where you're kind of at during the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people was thinking I was in a bad shape lately, but yeah, I'm feeling it better and better game to game, and just today I was enjoying playing here.
How good did it feel to see those couple of 3-pointers that you made go down?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to find that moment of confidence where, as I had at the start of the season when I was not even thinking about that I'm gonna miss it, and again, yeah, I'm just getting better and better, start feeling better and better.
Coach, you always talked about playing with pace a lot more in your sets. How important is to make those quick decisions, whether it's to shoot, pass, drive, score? How important is that to just be decisive?
I mean, Coach, he's trying to put it in our heads every day about the idea of playing 0.5, as we call it. So we have like a half a second on decision. Either you shoot it, or you drive, or pass. So, yeah, I mean, this is something we're talking about every day, trying to improve our pace, not just running on the fast breaks, but pace on a half court.
Richie, a lot of people are wondering if you guys have turned the corner, as it were. In your mind, is it that drastic, or is it more just gradual improvement at this juncture of the season?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, keep those ones going. I think it's kind of two different ways to think about it, right? Like, one is we've had to go through so much adversity, and from that, like, we learn, and it is a little bit of a turning corner because we've had to learn how to finish games, and where, like, there's just so many of those details that it takes to win games that we've kind of really had to come together and to fix. So I'd say a little bit of gradual and gradual, which leads to turning a little bit of a corner. Again, we got a big one coming up on Tuesday, just like every game.
Richie, you've been playing a lot of minutes, especially in the first half, and honestly, you're playing like high 30s. How nice is it to get those breaks when you guys are up a lot?
Like, you mean breaks?
Like at the end of the game when you pulled away a little bit.
I mean, it's nice, right? It just, but like it's just we take everything by 4 minutes, and it's no different with however minutes you play or whatever. Like you take it by 4-minute segments, and if it's nice when those 4-minute segments go well, right? You get to find a little roll in there, but there's no, like, I mean, for a long time we were up by 13 or 14, but it's not like you can really take a break. Oh, good, we're up, because you lose when you do that. But so it's just, I feel like a mentality of keep going.
Any more questions, guys? Egor, what do you think of, or for both of you guys, but Egor first, thoughts on playing Baylor? It's going to be a heralded freshman on the other side with BJ Edgecombe, and just maybe that matchup that you guys will have coming up on Tuesday.
I mean, I think I already said it before, but it's just always interesting to play against those teams when, I heard about them playing in Europe or playing in Russia, and watching them, playing in March Madness and having those players who's going to draft. It's every team is interesting to play against. It's always good competition in Big 12, as I already know. So, yeah, it's excited.
Your thoughts on Baylor, Richie?
They're freaking good, right? I know they've kind of had a little bit of rough little bit with losing Roach, but, they're extremely well coached, like everybody knows, and it's going to be a really big matchup, and I'm glad we get them here. They're just a tough team, and we're excited for the challenge.
There's Egor Demin and Richie Saunders after BYU wins. Here's the head coach, Kevin Young.
Yeah, first of all, I'm not entirely sure what happened at the end there. I think Eli shot the ball before the buzzer went off, which is not something we're about. So if that is the case, I apologize to Wes and their group. That's we try to operate in a classier manner than that. So apologies there. Now in terms of the game, I thought the biggest difference was just the defensive rebounding. That's all we talked about at halftime. They had 10-0 boards in the first half. They only had 3 in the second, which allowed us to get out and hold them to one shot. And that's how you go 52-29 in the second half, by just rebounding. So that was my main takeaway.
What changed in that second half? You felt like the effort from the guys?
I think they were more cognizant of it. It's pretty much. We showed clips at halftime, and that was basically all we showed at halftime, was how they were getting their offensive rebounds. So I think our guys were dialed into it more. I just thought we found a way a little bit more to rebound.
You've been talking about the shooting and how you think it's a good shooting team. And tonight it kind of proved you right. Were you expecting a breakout performance like this at some point?
I think we had a little bit of one in Colorado. Now it's 2 games in a row where we're very capable of hitting a lot of threes. We've got a lot of shooting. I think our spacing is pretty good, and we're figuring each other out too. I think we're playing with a little bit more half-court movement. I think we're making guys chase us a little bit more. So we've gone away from just pick and roll. We've added a little bit more movement, which I think has helped kind of get guys off of us and give guys a little bit more space to get shots off.
What was the plan coming into this game to find a way to get 3-point looks, because the Cincinnati defense had a good defended 3?
Kind of it really is a three-pronged approach. Our pace since I can't remember when we really doubled down, tripled down on our pace, but to get good threes against a team like that, you got to play in transition, which you can't do if you don't rebound. So we did do that, and then just some of the reads in pick and roll, trying to point certain things out where we felt like we could get threes there. And then, like I said, the half-court movement, and the screening. Those are really the points of emphasis.
Cannon got a nice ovation from the fans tonight. How important do you think this game and that moment was for him?
Very. Yeah, I thought, and the reason why is because I thought he had his best, practice in a long time that he had yesterday. And so for him to lock in practice, even though things haven't been going his way, and then to come out and, be rewarded with a good performance, I think it speaks to work. There's no substitute for that. And he has not shied away from work. He stayed the course, which gave me more confidence, to do a better job of putting him in position to get some of those threes. Some of those were some set plays. But I just thought his overall aggression, and he just looked more comfortable out there. And to hear it from the crowd, especially that many people, is a good feeling.
Did you expect them to shoot that many threes?
We wanted to force them to beat us from the outside. They're a team that lives in the paint. And so that was part of the game plan. And when I say that, I don't mean we're not disrespecting guys, but we're trying to force contested threes and keep them out of the paint, off the line. They only shot 4 free throws, so we did a good job of not fouling. Even though they got a lot of threes, I felt like they took a lot of long twos as well. So game plan-wise, I thought we did a good job there.
Coming from your coaching tree, a lot about .5 basketball's been preached, right? So how has your team kind of bought into that? It seems like they've kind of figured that out over the last 2 games.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been received extremely well. I think guys are seeing and reaping the benefits from playing that way. I think Richie's a prime example of that. Obviously, he gets his shot off so quick, but just those quick rip and goes, it's hard to it's just hard. It's hard to stay in front of that. I think Egor's figuring out. I think Downs figuring out. Even Trev, is getting run off the line. He's putting it on the deck. So I do think the message is, getting across there.
Is there a pressure that was taken off of this team after winning that first road game earlier in the week in Colorado that maybe kind of alleviated them a little bit this game?
I just think winning. I just think we needed to win. We needed to play well, which we have. I mean, I don't and this is what I told the guys. When we had that 3-game stretch where we came up short. You lose by a possession doesn't mean you played bad. We played good. We just didn't play good enough to win. And so, the sky wasn't falling. I thought our guys never got too down, honestly. And our guys, probably the thing I loved the most about this group, honestly, is just the way they approach every day. We rarely have a bad day. So that gives me confidence and lets me know that they're jiving with what we're doing and they have confidence in what we're doing. They believe in themselves. But it's a lot easier to get that belief when you win. You know what I mean? And so, I do think it was a galvanizing moment to get that win. And mainly because the way we got that win, we had to come back from down 10, come back from down 10. Even tonight, it's a close game at halftime. And so I think we're building on a lot of the things that we're doing.
When Dawson has as efficient of a night as he did tonight, what does that do for this team when he's on like he was tonight?
I mean, honestly, I think he's always on. He wakes up thinking no one can guard him, and that's why I love him. I hope my kids have that swagger, honestly. And so I love that about him. He's been a guy who has been extremely efficient. So what it does for our team, I think it takes a little pressure off, that kind of first unit. And to that point, I do think our guys and our team, me and our staff, I think we're starting to just get a little bit more comfortable with sort of how we're subbing the group. I've talked about that a lot. I don't think people outside of the people who are really thinking that through understand how difficult that is to get groupings right, and it takes time. And so I think we're kind of getting a little rhythm there, and he's been a big part of that.
How important is it for him to be able to hit those intermediate shots? It's kind of a unique skill on this team.
It is. And so I had a discussion with him a week or so ago. I think it's pretty obvious, but we want rim and 3. I think my analytics guy hits me all the time. I don't know where we currently rank, but at one point in time, we were the best team in all of Power 5 of shooting rim and 3. And so we don't want those pull-up 2s because they don't go in. He's a guy where they do go in. And so, going back to my history, I've coached 3 of the best mid-range shooters the game's ever seen in the NBA, and we'd never told Chris Book or KD to not shoot long 2s. It wouldn't be smart. So with Dawson, I pulled him aside and said, hey, I know we're really highlighting the rim and 3, but when teams play this drop coverage like we see these guys do tonight, he's a guy who can make that shot at a high clip, and I think it adds another weapon to our assault offensively.
Can you see the confidence growing in the team that they execute the offense and get the finish more frequently?
Say that again?
Well, you talked about executing.
Yeah.
And then maybe not finishing the play.
Right.
Executing and finishing
Yes.
the play. Can you see the confidence growing in them when they do that?
I can, yeah. I absolutely can. And obviously it's easier on a night like tonight when the ball goes in as much as it does. Look, you guys have all covered this game forever, and I've coached it forever. Make shots. Right? That's what it's all about. And I know that sounds so simple, but everything's easier when you make shots, and even confidence is easier in terms of what we're doing. But our guys have done a good job of executing, and I do think that helps their confidence for sure.
Do you think this was Egor's best game in conference play thus far?
I don't know. I thought he was really good in Colorado. It's like everyone, and we're all. How do you judge him? He had 15 points, so that was his best game. For me, it was his efficiency. He goes 6 of 7 from the line, 3 of 5 from the field. So I think for him and for any player, you strive for efficiency. You talked about Dawson. Dawson's super efficient. Richie's super efficient. So that's what we strive for, and that's where the shot diet sort of comes back into the equation. We want to be an efficient basketball team. That's how you win. And so. A lot of our guys are kind of finding their way there.
There's BYU basketball coach Kevin Young. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.